Hi, it's Wednesday, it's dawn. I thought I would do another one of these moving your resources online, your course online. Um, you know, Today we're talking about communication. And it's like there's a lot of things going on with communication right now. There's a lot of noise going on. And what we all want to hear is we hang on the words of the things that we know are the people that can communicate that information to us. Well, the same thing is going to go on in an online class. We're going to have a lot of people that are moving into an online environment that never thought they would be in an online environment. They might have even decided not to take an online class because they knew they didn't have the bandwidth or the computer resources in order to take a class. Or they're self-aware enough to know that I thrive on the what goes on in class and the questions and answers and the discussion, and that's my learning style. And so they're going to be into a new learning style and a new environment. And so we want to make sure and communicate as best we can everything that they're going to need, um, and also have a reassuring tone with that. So I think one of the first things we need to talk about is some clear expectations for class. What is it that I expect from you, in the student in the class? If you're using email, do I want you to check your email daily? Do I want to check it so many times a week? Do I want you to check it multiple times a day, morning and night or something like that? What is my expectation of that? In Blackboard, what is my expectation of you logging into Blackboard? Um, if it's textbook software, what is my expectation? Clearly do that. And that's just one example of the login time. There are other things that are part of your routine and that are expectations. And if you clearly explain those to students, it will be a lot easier for them. And not only what the expectations of the students are, but I think it's good to set expectations of what we as instructors feel is our role in the class. In other words, I check emails how many times a day, and I will respond in what time of an hour, and how many hours are in what time can you expect to get an email from me. Now, it's not mean, students expect instantaneous sometimes communication, and we all know that that's not feasible nor practical nor healthy. So what is it that they can expect? Maybe during office hours, if you email me during class time, what time class would meet, or during office hours, I will be back to you right away because I'm on and I'm working at that time. So there could be times of the day that they can expect that, but there might be other times of the day that they might not be able to expect that. You can forward your office phone to your personal number. You can check your office phone check the voicemail on your office phone. And so if those are things you can clearly say to the students, because if they don't have internet access, that might be the only way that they can get in to communicate with you. You can clearly communicate that during office hours or during class time or a certain set time, I will be available via my phone. You leave me a message, I'll be checking it regularly, or I will have it forwarded during that time to my cell phone or to my house phone, or however you want to forward it. So those are clear expectations and ways to communicate to let students know. I think the other thing we need to worry about is timely feedback. Now, timely feedback means a lot of different things. Sometimes in the software, there are things that you can do that are timely feedback. For instance, in Blackboard, when they submit an assignment, there's a little yellow bar, that goes across the top and says that they've submitted it. And sometimes, depending on how it's set up, the student will get an email that says that they submitted that assignment. And these are all good feedback for them. You can also tell them that they can tell whether their assignment was submitted by going into the My Grades section and looking at the My Grades. And if there's an exclamation point, that means that something was submitted to the instructor. If you are using email to communicate with your students, I would clearly communicate to your students to put something in the subject line, something standard in the subject line that you can search through your email and find, and also that maybe you can filter your email. so that you can send things that are assignments to a folder. Then you can look in that folder for those assignments. If you have everybody's assignments, if you have 100 students and you have everybody's assignments in your email, that's going to be crazy. So that would be some ways that you could sort of manage those things. I'm sure that in the textbook softwares, there's stuff too. I'm just not as familiar with all that goes on with those. I think one of the other things that we want to do is cultivate community within our class. So maybe the communication strategy, if you're on Blackboard, would be to create a discussion board, and the discussion board may be just like questions that they might have. And those questions might be things that the students can answer, and they might not be things the students can answer. You can have those questions where you get into the conversation and kind of correct misguided things. But I would encourage people to answer questions that they know the answers to do community. I would also kind of foster that discussion board along by taking the questions that you get via email that are maybe directed in a broader audience, things that everybody might need to do, and say, post in the discussion board, I got this question via email from a student, and it was a great question that I think maybe some of the rest of you are thinking about. So here's the answer to it. And that boosts the self-esteem of students, or the boosts their way of thinking that I can ask that question too. Maybe emboldens them a little bit to make those kind of questions and ask the questions that need to be asked. I would also think about maybe putting just an open discussion board in where it's kind of community. Like there might be assignments that might be a little bit tricky to do when you're isolated, with social distancing and things like that. That maybe some people would have some ideas. Maybe there can be some group ideas or things like that you can cultivate. Maybe some resources that students might know of for students, for other students. Something that would be like the chit chat you might get before or after class, and kind of mimic that maybe in a discussion board for that. One of the other things that I think is really kind of really is hard for students is to know how much time tasks take in an online class. Sometimes I think they so focus on the simple tasks, the tasks that you're just expecting them to give you a rote answer, and you think it's going to take maybe 15 or 20 minutes. Sometimes students spend hours doing those because they don't know how it's staked or the importance of it. And if you can put time limits on some of those things that you think, like this should only take them about 15 minutes, or I'm really expecting this to take a little bit longer. So students focus more on the things that you want them to focus on and less on the things that, because they don't know what's important or what to do. So you might say this discussion board post should take you approximately 20 minutes to complete, versus a paper, which you're going to say is going to take quite a bit longer to do. So I would talk about those types of things and communicate those things with students. One of the other things I think is really, really, really important is communicating resources. One of the best resources that we have at IVCC for when we're social distancing and doing some of the other things is You at IVCC. There's some really tremendously good articles on there that Tina was talking about just recently. And I think if you can communicate some of those principles, so if you can communicate to students that resource is available to them, that they can that they can read and do. And then also if there's needs in the in your student body to communicate to other people on campus that that can reach out and help those students. So that's it for 318. Let's see, 318, that's seems really familiar. I wonder why. Oh, the student help desk number is 318. And so you might be making that available for your students, but it seems like there's something else that 318 reminds me of. Oh yeah. You know what? There's an English teacher at IVCC that's turning 50 today on 318. So if you happen to see Kirk, wish him a happy birthday. Happy birthday, Kirk. Until the next time, though, I want to wish everybody, well, I want to let everybody know that we are available here in Setla. I'm here till 7 tonight, which is only a couple more hours here. We'll be available tomorrow from 8 until till 7, and then we'll be available on Friday from 8 until noon, and then we'll be back next week. So until the next time we talk, take care of yourself, and let's keep talking.